Welcome to Life on Pause, a podcast defining the experience of being a young adult with cancer. Each episode, we explore issues impacting young adults in and after treatment. Like what you hear? Have something to add? Come join us for the next recording. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Life on Pause. My name is Casey. I'm a leukemia survivor. I was diagnosed when I was 22 years old and underwent about 3.5 years of treatment. I'm here today with Lucas, Emma, and Ariana, and today we're going to dive into the topic of cancer camps. So to get us started, if everyone would be willing, would love to hear what your experience was like, a little bit about where you went, and what it was like when you first arrived and getting to meet other patients or survivors.
I'm Emma. I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia when I was 13 years old, and I did, I think, treatment for like 2 years, and then I've been in remission since. Overall, when I went to camp, I was kind of excited, but then once it was actually happening, I was very nervous, like going through the airport and everything. And I just remember like the first night there, I was like, oh, I should have done this, and I regretted it. And then just for, like, the whole week after, as I got to do more, I was like, "I can't believe I ever even thought that." Because, like, just meeting people who's been through something I've been through and just, like, seeing how uplifted and just happy everyone was, even though, like, some of them are still going through treatment, and just we were all, like, a really close group, and I just like, that time together with them was so awesome.
I'm Lucas. I was diagnosed at, I'm pretty sure 6 or 7, and, when I went, I was definitely nervous at first, very awkward 'cause I didn't know anybody, but then got comfortable around a lot of the other guys, started making more friends. Everybody was a lot more friendly once everybody got to know each other, which I really liked it. It's a nice place.
Hi, I'm Ariana. I was diagnosed when I was 12 with osteosarcoma. I went to camp in Chicago and I drove there, so I didn't get to fly with everyone else. It was awkward at first, and then, like, around the second day, everyone started talking to each other, and we all got pretty close, and it was a great opportunity. The activities we did were a lot of fun, and the friendships you make on these trips are they're real because everyone's going through, like, the same type of thing, and you can relate to everyone on a different level.
I had a pretty similar experience. It can be awkward when you're just meeting a new group of people for the first time. One thing the camp I went to did was like immediately assign people nicknames based on some aspect or facts about themselves. And so that I found was a helpful way to kind of break the ice. And honestly, we just referred to each other by those nicknames the whole week. So I know all of these people, but I don't know a lot of them by their actual name. But it was just kind of a clever way of breaking the ice and getting people comfortable quickly. On that note, some of you referenced it a little bit, but I'd be curious to hear. We hear from some people that they're uncertain or nervous to attend these camps. So I'd be curious to hear what your biggest fears or uncertainties were going in, and how those then kind of change while you were at camp.
For me, just, like, it was kinda odd because, like, the whole, like, summer, I was, like, really excited about it, and I was, like, thinking about it, and, like, I didn't actually think I was nervous, and then I think it was when I got to the airport, and I was, like, actually left my mom, and I was, "Oh, like, this is something I've never done before," and then when I got there, and there was just all of a sudden all these people, and everyone else just seemed kinda calm, and I was just like, "Oh, it's just, like, I'm kind of freaking out right now." It's just, like I was, like but I was still excited, and I was, like, ready to go. But I think it was just, like, there's people I didn't and I was kind of scared. I was like, "What if it isn't fun?" Or, like, it's just I don't know if I would get on like, maybe just, like, I don't know if I'll make friends. I was, like I think it was just that aspect, like, it feels like you're starting the new school year, and it's, like because you don't know anyone, and you're just, like you wanna have a good time, and you want people, but once we kinda got on, like, the bus to the actual camp, people were already talking about, like, music artists and, like, Chapel Roan, so I was like, "Okay, this is, like, gonna be fine."
When I went there, probably my biggest fear was, not fitting in, I guess, because I don't it's like, I don't like being around new people. I feel like it's weird, and once I, got there, it was, definitely nerve-wracking seeing, all the new faces, and a lot of the kids already knew each other, and I just felt like a newbie, but, definitely over the week that I spent there, they started to be a lot more nice and, like, more energetic around me, which I really liked, so
Yeah, no, I think that is very similar to how I felt going in. Just brand new group of people, nervous of, I also the camp I went to, like no idea what the age grouping was gonna be. And I also went to one on the West Coast. So I just was pretty confident it was gonna be no one I knew or would interact with much. And, just wanted to make sure that it would, be an enjoyable week and people that were friendly. And of course that became clear, like, very quickly that it was a really amazing group of people. And so I was nervous about that going in, but I quickly learned it probably didn't need to be. It was just a lot of people in a really, really similar situation. I'm curious to hear. I mean, I think a lot of people who go, not everyone, but I think generally most people have really positive experiences. But I would be curious to hear if there was any specific moment or experience from the camp that like stands out in your memory now that you're back. Anything that was particularly special or transformative for you?
One of the nights that was really special the week that I went, it was, like, one of the later nights, and we were doing, like we just started out with, like, karaoke, and it was only supposed to be, like, a 30-minute activity, but, like, everyone just was having such a good time and kept going. We ended up staying there for, like, a couple of hours doing it, and it was just funny because like, my age, like, camp for it the age for, like, camp, like, ranged from 18 to, like, 45. So there was, like, a good mix of, like, adults and teenagers, but, like, it didn't matter the age or, like, anything else, like, everyone was just there singing and having fun. And then after, like even though it was really late and we all were, like, leaving the next morning to go to, like, the airport, everyone just like, "Oh, like, what if we did something else?" And then, like, we just stayed up, like, really late by the campfire and playing games and just, like, talking, getting to, like well, not get to know each other because 'cause it's been a week, but still just getting a better understanding of each other.
the one thing that stands out to me was, definitely when we had to do a skit for I'm pretty sure it was, like, a breakfast, and we had to do a skit, so me and my cabin did a skit on our made-up superhero Duct Tape Man, where we put a D on this guy's, plain white shirt, and then we gave him a Teletubbies blanket and a hat, and then we just kinda did the skit, and he, dived over a table, a lot of random stuff he did. Maybe he didn't win, unfortunately, but it was still pretty fun, so
Our group went on, like, a night boat around, like, the lake. Is it in Chicago? And that night, I feel like, was the night I started to talk to a lot of people, and it was, like, quiet, it was a good view, and we had really good conversations, and the people I talk to, sometimes I still talk to them.
My camp was a kayaking one, so we went kayaking every day. One thing that, like, really stands out in my memory is the first day, like, you had a mix. There was no experience you had to have going in, so you had a mix of people who, like, clearly had signed up for the camp because they had been kayaking before and, like, really loved it, and some people who had never, ever kayaked before. And I was somewhere in the middle where, like, I had kayaked before, but, like, definitely needed a refresher on how to do everything. But it was just so cool to see, like, how the more experienced people were, give it like, we had instructors, of course, but, like, how the, like, more experienced kayakers were, like, giving tips and being patient and things like that. And I just felt like the group really gelled on, like, the first day as a result of that. And that was just kinda like the experience then every other day. So it was really cool I remember I was just kinda shocked, like, how quickly it all came together, and it was really cool to see that. Well, on a similar note, I'd be curious, like, some of you mentioned, I don't know if part of it is just being away from home or some of the specific places you went, but I'm curious if there's anything that you felt like you took away from being in a camp environment that you wouldn't have gotten in some other setting.
I think it's, like, we stayed in kind of, like, cabins, and, like, a lot of us are talking about how, like, it literally felt like a little kids camp, and I think it was just something about it just feeling, like, kind of, like, really safe and, like, childish that just, like, made everyone so happy and fun. 'Cause, like, there was still, like, a lot of adults there and teens, but it was just funny because like, everyone was acting the same. And it was because like, we were all excited. We're like, "Oh, like, we should go out to the hot tub then," and, like, do stuff, and it was just, like it was just silly, but it was awesome.
Definitely the fact that, you get to be in a safer enclosure with, people around your age, people that are, like that have your humor, that are your maturity and stuff, so it's definitely something you would not get back where I am.
I feel like it was the fact that it was, like, everyone there had or have cancer, and that, like because I don't mean I haven't met a lot of kids that have cancer, and I feel like on this camp, it was nice to know, like, you're not the only one going through all this, and, like, it was just it was deeper connections.
Ariana, no, I fully agree on that. It was interesting because yes, it's a group of people that everyone had cancer at least at the one that I was at. And it was also just for me on the other side of the country, and I feel like everyone kinda realized these are a group of friends, but, like, these are a group of people you may never see again. And so I feel like it was kind of freeing in that sense that everyone felt like they could kinda be themselves and there was no real concerns there. So I kind of felt the same thing where it felt like people connected really deeply pretty quickly because there just felt like there were no, like, real social barriers or anything like that, which was a really cool experience. Kind of on that same train of thought, how was the experience of connecting with other survivors? And what impact did that have on your outlook or how you think about things in your own life?
At the camp I was at, we had, like, these fireside chats is what they called them, and it was, like, everyone kinda sat in the circle, and, like, we just kinda talked, and it was just, like, going through that, and, like, everyone was sharing their stories or, like, what they've been through and what they're currently going through, and just, like, hearing everyone else's story, like, it just kinda made me realize, like, how much I'd pushed mine, like, out of the way and just kind of ignored it. Like, I got diagnosed in middle school, so and then this I went to the camp when I was in college, so, like, I just had all these new things in my mind, like, new worries, and, like, just being there again just, like, made me, like, not remember it in a bad way, but, like, actually gave me time to actually process it and, like, realize how this actually affected me and is, like, still affecting me in ways, and it was just really eye-opening because I was like, "Can't believe that I kinda just ignored it until then." And it also gave me, like, a chance to kinda work through it because I, like, actually got to talk with people who have similar like, especially a lot of people there had, like they kinda got it in their childhood and then now, and it's just, a different experience, and I'm just really grateful that I had that opportunity to, like, talk and get a better understanding of others and myself.
It was nice well, not nice, it was interesting hearing everyone's story and diagnosis and, like, what they went through, because I just know about my type of cancer, and it's just interesting hearing, like, how different cancers are treated and, like, just the different stories, and I also agree with Emma. Like, I kinda just, like, blew mine off, like, "Oh, it's not that bad," but, like, in reality, it, like, gets you thinking, like, it is a lot.
No, I felt the same thing, and the one thing that I thought was kinda interesting that happened, like, as the week went on is when we first got started, I felt like when everyone was talking about their experience with cancer, it was very, like, medical at first, right? It was like, "Oh, I was feeling like this, and then I went to the hospital, and then I was diagnosed, and, like, I went through this treatment." And then as the week went on, like, people just talked about their lives and, like, then how it was playing a role, like, depending on where they were in treatment, how it played a role in their current life. And, like, some of the people at camp were students, right? And it was, like, how it impacted them, thinking about going to college or something like that. A couple people there were parents, so they were like, "Yeah, I deal with all of this, but, like, my kids are kinda like the center of my life, so it's like a side piece." So I just thought it was, like, a really interesting perspective and, like, helpful for me to think about it when you heard about, like, all these people's different lives and how it impacted them. So I just felt like I really enjoyed getting to talk to other people and learn more about how it was, influencing their lives.
It definitely impacted it because how everybody went through similar stuff, was able to share everything without being judged by everybody, uh, how everyone was, like, able to say stuff without being judged. Because at the end of the day, it's all similar stuff that we all have in common, so
Well, does anyone here still have people from their camp experience that they still keep in touch with? And if so, like how? Is it like people you see, or is it more like group chats that are still running? What do those connections look like?
For my camp, we, like before we all left, we created, like, a group me, and so that has, like, everyone in there, and so, like, occasionally, like, someone will text and, like, ask how everyone is, and we'll all give updates. But I also have this, like, smaller group chat with, like, the really close friends I made. I actually texted them before the podcast because I was like, "Oh, I'm talking about camp, thinking about you guys, like, how are you?" And we talk pretty regularly in that one, and there's, like most of them, I think I'm, the youngest one, and they're all, like, in their 20s, but it's super awesome because like, I go to them for, like, advice all the time because they're all older, they've all been through college and everything, and they're also super cool, and I love hearing about them. So it's just, like, a great chance because they all also live everywhere in the world, we're very spread out. So I always like to hear what they're doing in California and, like, other states and, like, all the big things. Like, catching up with them is just always fun, and we do group FaceTimes a lot.
before we left camp, uh, we all exchanged numbers and we made one big group chat with the entire cabin. We don't use it as much as we did, like, after we left camp, like, as probably, like, after a week leaving camp, we all, like, died down, we didn't talk as much, but since it's getting closer to that time, we've all been keeping in touch again, texting about it and talking more, which is definitely, nice to talk to them, being able to talk to them since you build such a strong connection with them.
I talked to 2 kids that went, and they both go to Hershey, so I do get to see them. I talk to them pretty regularly, and it's a really good friendship. I'm grateful I met them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I had the similar experience. I feel like the group chats after just always seem to happen, but it's cool to have just like one place where everyone can catch up. And Emma, kind of like you said, like I feel like the most frequent interaction there is someone shares an update and then kind of everyone chimes in and like says what's going on in their life. And then I'm connected to most of the people on social media. So like even people I'm not regularly talking to, it's cool to see like updates on their lives through that too. So still feels like connected to them, even though we're not, regularly chatting at this point. Well, I guess my next question would be what advice you would give to someone who's considering attending camp, either from the lens of like just general advice about like you should do it, or this was my experience, or any specific tips that you wish you knew before you went into it.
My advice for, like, my life in general is just always to kind of do things and try them because why not? But my advice is just to try and just calm your nerves as much as possible. That's something I didn't really do well, but I just had a lot of fears, and I was like, I don't really know why. It just like my experience at campus is genuinely so great. Like, I don't even know what I was necessarily worried about, but like everyone's super accommodating, and I think a lot of like people are worried about like making friends because that's at the end of the day, like it's a hard time to have like a good time, like if you're sitting by yourself and whatnot. Everyone there who's going to this camp, like, they just want a chance to, like, be themselves, and they're also looking for new people to talk with, like, I think just remind yourself that everyone's going is looking for someone also to connect with and make friends. So just remind yourself that, like, they're there. Don't be nervous, just be yourself, and, like, nothing matters, like, age, like, where you come from, like, at the end of the day, we were all, like, the same people around the campfire, just sharing our stories and bonding.
The advice I would probably give is definitely go. It may be scary, you might not wanna leave, like, your hometown at all. That's how I was. I didn't wanna leave because you know, I don't I don't feel comfortable leaving my home, but it's definitely life-changing. So, definitely, if you do consider going, you should definitely go. You get to meet a lot of people with similar experiences as you get to build connections, and you might not that might be something you don't do regularly, but at camp, that's something that you will do over the time you spend there, and you will build connections really fast too.
Of course, everyone's gonna, like, worry about going, just nerves that everyone has, but I'd say, like, try to be, like, as comfortable as you can, and try to honestly, I would say be the icebreaker and, like, talk to everyone. Because once everyone gets talking, that's when it gets really fun. Because that's when you get to know everyone and talk about stuff. So, I'd say just don't be outgoing.
I would similarly say definitely go. I think it's a really cool experience that you don't always get. So I highly recommend going. And I think the one thing I would say like from my end is, and maybe something I was thinking about going in is I'm not always the biggest like share of my feelings or like talking about how I'm feeling specifically. But even if you're not one of those people, there's something to be said about just being around other people who get it and you don't feel like you have to, put on any act or anything like that. So yeah, even for those that don't love sharing, I think it's still really like therapeutic just to be around other people who had similar experiences. So highly, highly recommend.
Yeah, like, what Casey said about, like, oh, not, like, scared of, like, sharing your story. Like, at the camp, like, I was at, like, genuinely, like, no one cared what you said. They just wanted to, like, talk and interact. And that was something I appreciated because, like, the beginning of the week felt kinda heavy because I was dealing with these feelings, and, like, I could be as involved as, like, talking about, like, my story and cancer in general, like, as I wanted. Like, they don't make you go to these groups and, like, talk about things. I don't know why that was, like, in the back of my head for some reason that it may happen, but, like, they never do anything like that. It's always entirely up to you, like, what you share and who gets to know and everything. And but I think a lot of people, like, originally, like, I was not really planning on, like, working anything. I didn't really think I had anything to share. But, like, being there and hearing other people, like, it really does help you work through your own emotions and feelings in, like, a unique way that, like, I don't think I could have done that just by, like, being and, like, interacting with myself. I guess another aspect of, like, camp, like, I kind of for the most part, like, I talked about is kind of, like, what it made me, like, think about my personal journey, but also just going to a camp, like, it was just really cool, and that's why I think people should go. Like, the sights that I got to see, and also, like, the activities, it was just, like it literally felt like being, like, an eight-year-old again, and having all these people, and it's just, like, your one chance to, like, step away from it, your life, because you get to become a kid at camp. Like, that's what we always used to say, like, "Oh, we're at camp, we can do whatever we want." 'Cause, like, just you gotta step away from your feelings, and that's what I was, like, talking about, like, kind of earlier, just, like you can step away from it or get involved with this cancer thing. So, like, even if, like, you just want a break from, like, your life for a little bit, I would recommend it because that's it just felt like a nice, like, breath like, literally just felt like I got life back and after me. And, like, that's just something all of us that were like, "Ah, like, we can't wait, like, can't believe we have to go back to real life," because it just felt like a dream of, like, just relaxation and fun.
Today's Life on Pause topic was oncology camps. We had 4 adolescent and young adult cancer survivors join us today to discuss their experience. Camps specifically created for people diagnosed with cancer and their families are an important part of developing coping strategies and supportive relationships applicable to living life with cancer and beyond. Camps categorically range from child, teen, young adult, adult, sibling, family, bereavement, survivorship, and more. These camps have been studied and found to have a positive influence on psychosocial related effects of cancer and its treatment, including disease-related fear, anxiety, depression, and isolation, by providing opportunities where people connect over shared medical conditions and lived experiences. People who attend camp can benefit from support outside of their medical system, experience a sense of normalcy, are provided cancer-safe, fun activities, learn more about cancer-related topics, build positive memories, and form lasting friendships. There are cancer camps local to the Penn State Hershey Medical Campus, as well as nationally and internationally. Most camps are medically supervised with nurses and doctors, and accommodations can be made for treatments to continue while attending. ADA needs aren't an obstacle to attend camp. Camps strive to be 100% inclusive of all camp activities to the extent that each camper desires for themselves. 4 Diamonds at Penn State Hershey's Children's Hospital supports patients who attend camp by providing sponsorships for Camp Can Do, which is local to Hershey, PA, and cover travel expenses for camps farther away.
Thanks for listening to Life on Pause. Ideas or suggestions for future episodes? Feel free to share them with us. Make sure you like, subscribe, or follow us on YouTube, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts.